In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the admission process of an inpatient going to the SSLTC or the PAP unit. Here I'm logged in as a general medicine physician. I have the patient's chart open. Under the menu, I'm going to select Provider's View, and I'm going to go to the Transfer Discharge End page. In here, I'm going to demonstrate how to put in the discharge med rec, the discharge order, and also write a discharge summary on this patient. I'm going to go to the Medication Reconciliation tab and select Discharge. Here are all the medication of this patient that are being documented or being ordered with this admission. For anything I want to continue, I'm going to select under the green tab here or write a prescription under this medication pill bottle, or anything I want to stop, I'm going to put under here. So here I'm just going to continue any medication I've ordered for this patient during this admission. And I'm going to sign. So now I've completed my discharge med rec. Next, I'm going to write a discharge order on this patient. Instead of selecting a discharge patient with an order sentence, I'm just going to go search for a discharge patient order. I'm going to select the order without any order sentences. The reason why I selected this discharge patient order without any order sentences is because I want to put into the special instruction that this patient is going to be discharged to the SSLTC or the PAP unit. And I'm going to sign for this order. And now I'm going to go back to my provider's view and going through my discharge process and go all the way down and look for a discharge summary note. So under my discharge summary note, all my previous assessment and documentation would have been pulled forward into here. So for this patient, there's no admission. So for this patient, there's no admitting diagnosis. So I'm going to write in the admission diagnosis. And I'm going to fill in anything that's applicable for this patient. So all the medication and home medication would have been pulled forward. And under discharge disposition, I'm going to say discharge to SSLTC or the PAP unit. And I'm going to sign for this documentation. And over here, I have a chance to CC this discharge summary to the receiving provider. So as you can see, this note will be CC'd to the receiving provider. And now I'm done with the discharge process for this patient on the inpatient side. Now, as the new physician taking over this patient, I want to make sure that I'm looking for this patient's chart under the residential encounter. As you can see, this patient now has a residential encounter. And I need to assign a relationship to this patient. And instead of using the discharge and transfer M page, I'm going to use the admission M page to do my admission on this patient. So I'm going to do admission med rec on this patient and also an admission note. So I'm going to go down to the home medication and say that I've completed history. This is for the BPMH. So I'm going to use the last compliance because this was already done when the patient was in the inpatient unit. And now when I refresh under the current medication section, my BPMH is done. Now all I need to do is to do an admission med rec. Because I have continued these medication for this patient from the inpatient side, I know I can just continue with these medications. So I know I can just continue with these medications. Now the admission med rec is done. Now I'm going to do an admission order for this patient. I can use the general medicine admission power plan. And modify it based on my patient's need. I want to make sure that I order a VT prophylaxis on this patient. And then I'm going to initiate and sign. Now I'm going to go down to the end of the admission M page and do an admission note on this patient. So all the past history and medication on this patient would have been pulled forward. All I need to do is to write the chief complaint and the history and a little bit of physical exam. And now I'm going to sign and submit and sign for this note. And that is the admission process for an inpatient going to the SSLTC or the PAC unit.